We are continuing our conversation with Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. Now, one of your priorities is survivors' justice. Now, I know it's an issue that's very personal to you. Here's what you had to say recently on the House floor.
As a survivor of sexual violence myself, your stories matter. I want you to know that I believe you. I believe you if your voice shakes. I believe you if it happened decades ago. I believe you if you shared your story in real time or buried it away for years. I believe you.
That message was in response to labor activist Dolores Wuerta coming forward with abuse allegations against farm worker movement leader Cesar Chavez. Now, how can lawmakers send that message you delivered with actions?
Well, using every tool available, and I think the first most powerful tool is the tool of storytelling. Over and over again, it's been proven that that is how we change hearts and minds, and in turn change policy. And I want to thank Dolores Wuerta. For every survivor, their path to healing might not include that level of transparency and vulnerability. I'm so grateful to her. But think of the burden that she carried for so long, because she did not want to in any way threaten the strength of a movement, of the farm workers movement. And that was an unfair burden for her to carry. There was a shame that she carried that was not her shame to carry. And that is true for survivors of sexual violence in all forms. And you know, I've been working in survivors' justice for the majority of my life. In my role in Congress now, on the Committee on Government Reform and Oversight, it has been a great honor, responsibility, and pain to advocate on behalf of the Epstein survivors, to consider the institutional betrayal and for how long they have been denied and deprived justice. And you know, Republicans continue to provide shelter for the wealthy and well-connected and the powerful, to provide a safe haven for predators, then to center survivors. And that is what I'm focused on, is centering the survivors that have been impacted by this predator Ponzi scheme, resulting in the grooming, the exploitation, the rape, and the trafficking of children. When you look at the Epstein survivors today, you see grown women. And so it's easy for some maybe to not remember that they were children. I've read a number of the Epstein files, though they have yet to provide us with the totality of those documents. But what I have read has been harrowing and haunting. It has been vile. And we're talking about children, 14, 15, 16 years old. And it is a lifetime sentence. It is a lifetime sentence.
I want to pivot a bit here and talk about the unemployment rate, especially among Black women, that's on the rise. The population's unemployment rate increased. Take a look at these numbers here, from 6.4% in January to 7.1% in February. And that's all compared to 5.5% last February. What is driving this problem? How do we fix it?
First, let me just say I'm fighting for us to have accurate data and for that data to be reported, because in this administration, because they're not driven by facts, they've been dismissive of data and fired people who provided the data just because they didn't like the numbers. But this unemployment crisis in the country, with the disparate burden on Black workers and on Black women in particular, is devastating. 70% of Black women are the primary breadwinners in their household. 12% of the federal workforce was dominated by Black women. The sledgehammer that was taken to the federal government by the so-called DOGE operation in the name of efficiency pushed black women out of the Department of Education, out of Housing and Urban Development, out of Health and Human Services, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, USAID. So this is a crisis for black women, families, and futures. And I have a campaign that I've organized around that. And I have, in my role in financial services, I'm demanding that the Fed Chair, Jerome Powell, do his job. The Fed has a statutory mandate of maximum employment. They need to analyze and study this data and come up with a crisis intervention plan. Because although black women are bearing the brunt of this unemployment crisis and this push out of the federal workforce, compounded by the dismantling, degrading, and defunding of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Black women dominated many of those jobs in the private sector. This harm is coming for everyone. And so the Fed must take it seriously, as should the Department of Labor. And by the way, they've dismantled the Women's Bureau, so that's another thing that we're fighting for, and just demanding, again, that both do their job, because this harm is coming for everyone. It's devastating for black women, families, and futures.
Yeah. You know, you're a champion for the Crown Act, a bill to outlaw race-based hair discrimination. Now you're advocating for the Healthy Hair Act, which would ban formaldehyde, which is a chemical linked to cancer, reproductive harm. It's often used in hair relaxers and straighteners marketed to black women.
Right.
So what impact do you hope this has? You know, where are we when it comes to this?
Well, it's all connected, right? So given race-based hair discrimination, black women not being interviewed for a job or promoted for a job simply for how you're wearing your hair in a protective hairstyle or in an expression of ethnic pride. I do have to shout out the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, though, because the Crown Act did pass here in the state legislature. Right. We were the 28th state to pass that law. But as the lead sponsor of the Crown Act federally, we're still doing our work to make sure that that is a national law. But if you feel that your economic mobility is tied to whether or not you straighten your hair, that's why the Healthy Hair Act is essential, and why it is important that we ban the use of formaldehyde in chemical hair straightening products. You get to decide however you want to wear your hair, but however you choose to wear your hair should not be a threat to the public health. And the fact of the matter is, we have found a rise in uterine cancer amongst black women. This has been disruptive of reproductive health. It's been a hormone disruptor. So these products are a threat to the public health. Both of the administrators of these products, you know, our hairdressers, those in the beauty industry, and for the consumer. Under the previous administration, we had worked to establish a rule under the Federal Drug Administration to ban formaldehyde. We were that close to getting it done. It did not happen. And so that's why myself and Congresswoman Chantel Brown of Ohio are now looking to codify this in law with the Healthy Hair Act to ban the use of formaldehyde in chemical hair straightening products.
All right. We have a lot more to talk about after the break.